Hello, Houston Texans fans. Today we have some hot news that you can't miss, so get ready because there's a lot of important information coming. Before we start, we'd like to take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and stay up to date with all the news about our Houston Texans. Don't forget to leave a like, which really strengthens our community and helps bring this content to those who are most passionate about the team. Now, without further ado, let's get straight to today's news. Grim Tank Dell. Update reveals just how strategic the Texans draft was. It turns out there was a method behind the madness. The Houston Texans made headlines with their draft picks, specifically selecting two wide receivers from Iowa State. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel played together in college and will now join the Texans offense and catch passes from CJ Stroud. Texans fans knew that the wide receiver would be at the top of Nick Caserio's list to target in the draft, given Tank Dell's injury late in the 2024 regular season. Well, after hearing the latest news about Dell, it turns out that Caserio knew exactly what he was doing by adding not one, but two wide receivers early in the draft. According to Jonathan M. Alexander of the Houston Chronicle, Dell will most likely miss the 2025 season and be placed on the physically unable to perform list. Texans fans assumed Dell would miss most, if not all, of the 2025 season due to that horrific knee injury he suffered against the Chiefs in late December. That's why adding receivers this offseason was essential. Not only would Dell be unavailable, but Stephon Diggs was headed to New England, leaving Houston with Nico Collins and Christian Kirk as the top two options at the position. Tank Dell injury update shows why Nick Caserio doubled down on receivers in draft. Dell was an exciting signing for the Texans 2 years ago, but he has struggled with injuries since entering the league as a third-round pick out of Houston. While missing an entire season could certainly put his future with the Texans in doubt, Dell's timetable should have him back on the team in the spring of 2026. That will hopefully give him time to work toward a stronger return in what would be the final year of his contract with the team that drafted him. At this point, the Texans may be happy with what they have with Collins, Higgins, and Noel, but Dell's presence will be more of a more is better vibe than anything else. It's a shame that a slam dunk in the form of Higgins and Noel means Dell won't be available, but hopefully when he does return, he'll be back stronger than ever. The Texans are considered the best fit for free agency offensive linemen, which would raise big questions about Nick Caserio's offseason strategy. The Houston Texans are projected to be the best landing spot for offensive linemen. One interesting aspect of post-draft free agency is that the compensatory formula doesn't apply. That element usually attracts some veterans to sign. After an interesting offseason with the offensive line, Wendell Ferreira of A to Z Sports named Houston as the best spot for former Vikings guard Dalton Reisner. The Texans are also a team in desperate need of reinforcements on the offensive line. Currently, the guards are Titus Howard and Juice Scruggs, and the only addition to the roster is tackle Arionte Ursery. Reisner has had a peculiar trajectory over the past few seasons, and year after year, he has been focused on deciding his future. Over the past 2 seasons, he signed 2 one-year contracts with the Minnesota Vikings, playing 1 year at each guard position. And he's shown to be very good at pass pro, which is extremely important to making the offense viable for CJ Stroud. It's fascinating that Reisner is still around. Let me explain. The Vikings didn't sign him until week 2 of 2023 due to Oli Udoh's leg injury and waited until May to bring him back last year. That was after the fans begged him to come back. He didn't start either year, but ended up starting in 2023 due to an injury and the subsequent trade of left guard Ezra Cleveland at the trade deadline. In 2024, he got the job mid-season due to Ed Ingram's poor performance. The reason Reisner didn't start: he's not that great, especially when it comes to run blocking, and his pass blocking grades are better than his performance. Overall, he's just not good enough to be a consistent starter. If the Texans were to bring in Reisner, another battle between him and Ingram would be a pretty interesting twist, something we've seen before. It also raises questions about general manager Nick Caserio. Is he trying to recreate the worst parts of the Vikings' offensive line that have lost them the last 2 games? That wouldn't be the best strategy.